Hey guys, today we will be factoring when a is greater than 1. What that simply means is you have seen quadratics written like this, ax squared plus bx plus c. You would have done that a bunch in math too, and we've also gone over it this year. So what that means for our example here is that 2 is our a, negative 5 is our b, and negative 12 is our c. Now, when I say a is greater than 1, that means the number in front of x squared. When we factored before, you always had x squared first. There was no number here. Technically, there's a 1, but we don't write that. But we didn't see anything here. So today, when we're doing these, there will always be a number in front of x squared, and it actually turns out a little bit different than what we did before. So I want to show you how this is going to work. We still have our two sets of factors. That hasn't changed. And before we would do x and x here to make x squared, now there's a 2 up front, but we're still going to do the same. We'll account for the 2 in a minute. So still put x and x first, even though I know x times x is not 2x squared. I know. And this time, before we would do factors of negative 12, but because there is a number in front, we're actually going to multiply these two. 2 times negative 12 is negative 24. We're going to find factors of negative 24 instead. So anytime there is a number in front of x squared that's not 1, you have to multiply the a and the c, and that is what you're going to find factors of, is a times c, not just c. So factors of 24, I have 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8, 4 and 6. Just like before, I'm going to decide which of these together is going to make negative 5. Be careful, it's a negative 24, which means one of the numbers in the pair has to be negative. So looking at my choices here, the only one that could possibly make 5 is 8 and 3. And I need it to be a negative 5, so that would be positive 3 and negative 8. Which means my factors are x plus 3 and x minus 8. Now we are not done. If you multiply these two together, you would not get this original equation. So because we multiplied the 2 in, now we have to divide that 2 back out. So we're going to divide by 2, divide by 2. This is very important. If you forget to do this, you will get the wrong answer every time. We multiply the number in front in, now we're going to divide it out. So if it doesn't divide pretty or nicely, 3 divided by 2 is not a pretty number, then you simply bring it up. So this factor is actually going to be 2x plus 3. Notice the 2 came up. This one does divide nicely. 8 divided by 2 is 4, so I get x minus 4. So these are my factors. Now, if you are ever unsure if you did it correctly, you can always multiply these together. You guys know how to do box method. We've done it already. So if you take that, maybe 30 seconds to a minute to actually multiply these together and make sure you got the original equation, then you know that you did it correctly. But those are the factors of this quadratic. Okay, we're going to do another example. All right, slide up a little bit. So this time we have 3x squared plus 16x plus 5. You can go ahead and make those parentheses for the factors. And just like before, we're still putting 2 x's in the front, x and x. We'll account for the 3 later. We're going to multiply 3 times 5 and get 15. So now we're finding factors of 15, not factors of 5. There are no factors of 5 to begin with anyway, so no factors of 5 could make 16. It's just 5 and 1. So factors of 15, I have 1 and 15, and I have 3 and 5. Which of these would make a positive 16? That would be 1 and 15, which means I end up with x plus 1 and x plus 15. Be careful, you are not done. We multiplied the 3 in. Now we have to divide the 3 back out. Do not forget this step. That is probably the biggest mistake I see students make is they will get here and say, oh, I'm done. You're not. If you multiply these together, you would not get this quadratic. We have to divide that 3 back out. 1 divided by 3 does not divide nicely, so we're going to move this 3 up and get 3x plus 1. 15 divided by 3 does divide nicely. We get x plus 5. So these are my factors. So you do have an extra step in these problems where before you just found the factors and you were done. If you multiply the 3 in, you have to divide the 3 back out. Do not forget that. All right, we're going to do one more example. So we have 12x squared minus 5x minus 2. Just like before, double parentheses. I'm going to put x and x in the front. So did you notice with our last examples that we started with x and x, but we ended up with what we needed in the front? 3x times x does make 3x squared. 2x times x does make 2x squared. Sorry. So like I said, when you divide, it's going to fix that number up front like you need it to be. So same thing here. I know that x times x is not 12x squared, but once we divide the 12 out, it's going to fix itself. So I have a number in front, so I got to multiply these together. 12 times negative 2 is negative 24. Factors of 24 are 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8, 4 and 6. So which of these is going to make negative 5? That's still 3 and 8. It's funny how these worked out again to be the same ones. So I get x plus 3 and x minus 8. Remember, we are not done. So many students stop here. Please don't do it. It's not right. We multiplied the 12 in. Now we have to divide the 12 back out. So your goal is to reduce first. Don't just immediately bring that 12 up front. If you did that, you would end up with 12x and 12x. That 12x times 12x does not make 12x squared. It makes 144x squared. So we want to simplify first. 3 divided by 12, if you're not very good with fractions, use your calculator. But 3 divided by 12 is 1/4. And 8 divided by 12 is 2/3. So if you're not super good at doing fractions in your head, please don't. Use your calculator. It's there to help you. And now that I've gotten the fractions reduced to their simplest form, now I can bring these numbers up. So the 4 is going to come up here. The 3 is going to come up here, which means my final factors are 4x plus 1 and 3x minus 2. If you're ever unsure if you got the answer right or not, multiply them together. Take a minute, do the box method. I taught it to you for a reason. You can check your answer. So if you're like, man, I just don't know if I'm doing it right, do the box method really quick. Multiply these two together and see if you get what you started with. If you do get what you started with, you did it correctly. If you don't get what you started with, you know you made a mistake. So there is no reason to be getting these wrong because you can go back and double check your answer to make sure that it works. All right, guys, that is all for factoring when a is greater than 1. Have a good day.